She was the last person Hitchcock thought he would choose for North by Northwest. They told her she was too old, too shy, and not blonde enough at 34. But Eva Marie Saint knew something that would make everything different. One that she kept from the master of mystery. She is finally telling the truth about those steamy scenes with Cary Grant now that she is 100 years old. She also explains why Hitchcock never knew what really happened between his stars. A woman named Eva Marie Saint was born in Newark, New Jersey, on July 4, 1924. Being born on Independence Day seemed like a good choice for someone who would be brave and set their own goals. She was born to Eva Marie Saint and John Merle Saint. The fever almost killed Eva when she was only 3 years old. The doctors were not sure she would make it, but she did. From this hard beginning, she learned strength that she kept with her all her life. Eva started a fire in her family's garage while playing with matches when she was 7 years old. They didn't punish her. Instead, they used the time to teach her how to be responsible. This lesson stuck with her and changed how she dealt with problems in the future. A lot of families had trouble with money during the Great Depression, but her dad came up with smart ways to help them get by. One time, in 1935, he gave a cow for a month's worth of tire sales so they could have fresh milk. Eva did her first show when she was 12 years old. She won a talent show in her town by pretending to be Shirley Temple. She won a year's worth of ice cream, which she gave to her friends. It was a small act of kindness, but it showed a glimpse of how friendly and charming she would become on screen. Eva began collecting four-leaf clovers when she was a girl. It's crazy that she found 743 of them. A lot of people thought they helped her get to Hollywood and called them her lucky charm. Eva had planned to become a teacher like her mother did after high school. But her life changed when she got a scholarship to Bowling Green State University in Ohio by writing a creative essay about the school, even though she had never been there. Eva stood out in college, but not because she acted right away. The school's acting club turned her down because she was so scared of being on stage. She didn't give up. Instead, she agreed to take part in psychological tests that looked at fears. She worked on speaking in front of people for months. She finally felt ready to speak in a big debate on campus, which caught the attention of one of her teachers. He told her she should try out for a school play. Eva tried out while wearing a blindfold. She was nervous, but motivated. Everyone was shocked when she did great and got the part. That was the start of her career as an actress. Eva was in 12 plays at Bowling Green, and during World War II, she even put together a 24-hour Shakespeare play to raise money for war bonds. She earned $3,000 at the event, and Eleanor Roosevelt spoke about her. Eva got over her fear of performing by the time she finished in 1946. She had found her true love in acting. Eva was brave enough to turn down a safe teaching job in her hometown after she graduated. She left for New York City with only $40 and the goal of becoming an actor. Her first job there was different. She stood still for hours at a store window job as a live mannequin. A talent agent saw her one day and hired her to do some small modeling work for a toothpaste ad. But she wasn't a big star right away as an actress. Eva was turned down for 47 tryouts. When she was at her worst, she snuck into NBC studios and pretended to be an employee. A director saw how sure of herself she was and hired her, beginning her work in TV. In 1948, Eva was on TV for the first time. She was on a show where she showed how TVs worked. In the fall of that year, she got her first acting job on A Woman's Life, a radio soap series. Eva quickly became known for her ability to play a wide range of roles, even though she had problems like losing her voice right before going on air. She was on a number of radio shows and would sometimes play a teenager, a detective, or even a talking horse in the same day. Eva's big break came in 1953 when she was cast in the Broadway show The Trip to Bountiful. At first, she was the backup actress, but the main actress got sick. Without having even 24 hours to prepare, Eva stepped into the part and did an amazing job. She was praised by many. She won an award for being the best newcomer. Famous director Elia Kazan saw her on stage during one show and asked her to try out for his next movie. This got Eva the part in On the Waterfront in 1954, which won her an Academy Award. On the Waterfront star Eva Marie Saint had a tough time getting cast in late 1953. She and director Sam Spiegel were looking for the perfect actress to play Edie Doyle. She had to look strong and innocent at the same time. Starting on October 3rd, a lot of actors tried out, including well-known ones like Elizabeth Montgomery and Claire Trevor. Eva had her first test on November 12th. She had never been in a movie before. Kazan saw how natural she was. and how strongly she could show how she felt. But Elizabeth Montgomery's audition on November 20th was also very good, and she and Eva became two of the top picks. After December 5th, things became more clear. Kazan chose to put both women to the test with Marlon Brando, who was already a big star. The test was very important because Edie and Brando's character, Terry, had to really get along. They played out the glove scene during the screen test. At this point, Terry picks up Edie's glove after she drops it. It was clear that Ava was being honest when she acted. After the fact, she said that she was nervous about playing with Brando, but that when they did the scene together, it all clicked. By December 18th, Kazan and Spiegel had made up their minds. Many people were shocked when Ava, who wasn't a big name, got the part. Ava's $7,500 movie pay was a lot less than what a star would have made, but it changed her life. It was very cold in Hoboken, New Jersey, on November 17, 1954, when filming started. Brando, who had already become famous, was in Ava's first movie when she was 30 years old. Brando's work was hard to guess. He changed how he played every time. Eva later said that this made her really pay attention and act freely, which led to some of the movie's best scenes. One of those times was on December 3, 1954, during the glove scene. Brando took Eva's glove and played with it, even though the script didn't say to do that. This small, unplanned event turned out to be one of the most memorable parts of the movie. The director, Elia Kazan, was known for making players do things they didn't think they could. In a sad scene on January 12, 1955, Kazan said something upsetting to Eva right before shooting. Even though it wasn't in the plot, it made her feelings seem real on camera. Kazan also practiced important scenes for days, like the one on February 8, 1955, when Terry talks to the dishonest union boss. Kazan wanted every little thing to be just right, and the performances were amazing because of all the hard work. There were many problems with the production, but there were also some really creative moments. It was hard to film in Hoboken because it was so cold in the winter, often below 20 degrees Fahrenheit. As they filmed on the docks on December 12th, some of the cameras got frozen. The director of photography, Boris Kaufman, used vodka to thaw them out so they could keep filming. The movie's rough and gritty look came from the unique ways he solved problems. On January 3, 1955, the local longshoremen's union tried to stop the movie from being made because they didn't like how it showed unions. After heated talks, Kazan hired 40 union workers as extras, who made the movie seem more real. The music for the movie was also a big hit. Kazan asked Leonard Bernstein to write the music on February 2, 1955. Though Bernstein had never worked on a movie before, he agreed after seeing a rough cut on February 10th. Bernstein wrote the haunting, powerful score for the movie in just 10 days. It fit the deeply emotional tone of the movie. Gene Milford, who edited the movie, added something extra to the last scene while he was working on it. Along with shots of Brando's figure, he used close-ups of pigeons flying away. This small thing gave the scene a poetic feel that made it memorable. The Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress went to Eva for her role. Oscars were held on March 30th, 1955, which was 8 months before Eva's due date. Eva's doctor told her not to go from New York to Los Angeles, but she didn't want to miss this chance. She wore a handmade white dress and sat with her husband in the front row. Eva was so moved by how emotional she was that she took a moment before going to the stage when her name was called. Everyone laughed when she joked, "I might have the baby right here." In her simple, heartfelt victory speech, she thanked Kazan, Brando, and her husband. A lot of people didn't know how close the vote really was. It came out years later that Eva had won by only 3 votes. On April 8, 1955, just 9 days after winning the Oscar, she had her son Daryl. She kept the Oscar in her hospital room as a reminder of all the good things that had happened to her in her life. Her work also changed after she won the award. Her next pay went from $80,000 to $100,000, which is a huge jump. It was a big surprise to see Saint in North by Northwest. On June 27, 1958, Alfred Hitchcock, the director, had considered hiring famous people like Grace Kelly or Elizabeth Taylor. He chose Eva Marie Saint instead. But Saint wasn't as well known as the others. She had won an Oscar for her role in On the Waterfront in 1954. At the time, she was 34 years old, which Hollywood thought was a bit old for lead parts, but Hitchcock saw something special in her. He thought she was perfect for the role of Eve Kendall because she could show both innocence and sexuality. Hitchcock cared a lot about how Saint looked and sounded. He cared so much about her that on July 14th, 1958, he took her shopping at Bergdorf Goodman in New York. He picked out all of her clothes and spent $50,000 on expensive clothes, which is more than $450,000 now. That wasn't all he did. He also worked on her voice, making her practice for hours every day to sound more seductive and lower her pitch. So much had changed that her husband was shocked when he heard her voice on set and asked, "What did they do to you?" It wasn't always easy for her to work with Cary Grant and James Mason. It took Cary Grant a while to decide that Saint was the best person for the job. He was known for being very picky, but once they started shooting, it was clear that they got along. They had to film one scene on a train more than once because it was so tense. This made the team both laugh and feel a little silly. James Mason, who played the bad guy, was also not sure at first. But when the shooting was over, he said that Saint's performance was amazing and that it revealed him. Even Hitchcock, who didn't usually say nice things about actors, said that Saint's performance as Eve Kendall was perfect for a Hitchcock heroine. The chase scene at Mount Rushmore is one of the most well-known parts of the movie, but it caused a lot of trouble. On August 17th, 1958, Hitchcock told a newspaper in South Dakota that he was going to show an exciting chase on the president's faces, with Cary Grant holding on to Lincoln's eyebrows. The National Park Service was upset about this because they had initially let shooting happen. On September 3rd, 1958, they changed their minds and said the movie couldn't be filmed there. They were afraid it would be rude to the landmark. The movie studio, MGM, had to quickly come up with an answer because the government told them not to act violently near the monument. Hitchcock got what he wanted. On October 1st, 1958, his team went to Mount Rushmore in secret and used cables to lower themselves down to the faces of the presidents in order to take detailed pictures of the sculpture. These pictures were used to make the set scenes look more real. There was still a lot of misunderstanding. Variety said on November 12, 1958, that the chase had been shot on the real monument, but that wasn't true. People were mad. On November 20th, Hitchcock had to say in public that the scene was filmed in a studio. The debate didn't end when the movie came out on July 28, 1959. A lot of people thought the chase was shot on Mount Rushmore because the effects were so real. Some groups even told people not to see the movie. In August 1959, some fans tried to run the chase again on the statue itself, which made things even worse. They were caught and charged, and the National Park Service made the area safer. By September 2nd, 1959, the U.S. government was so angry that they told MGM to take out any word about working with them from the movie credits. In spite of all the trouble, the scene at Mount Rushmore became one of the most famous in movie history. It showed how smart Hitchcock was and how far he was willing to go to make something amazing. In Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, Eva Marie Saint had a very important part. She was a famous Hitchcock blonde, but she wasn't like the others. It was 1959, and she was 35 years old when she got the part. That was older than most of the women Hitchcock cast in his movies. He usually chose younger women, so this made her stand out. Before this, Saint was known as a good girl, especially after her 1954 Oscar win for On the Waterfront. But in North by Northwest, she played Eve Kendall, a character who was classy, mysterious, and a lot more complicated than the one she had played before. Saint did not seem the same to Hitchcock. He thought she could play a character with a lot of complexity and hidden meaning. He helped her a lot with her part, and even took her to Bergdorf Goodman in New York City to choose clothes for her character. He did things like this all the time. Hitchcock liked to be in charge of everything about his main ladies. Even so, Saint didn't think it was cruel. She believed it was an important part of being artistic. He also made things very clear for her. For example, they could speak more quietly, make fewer hand movements, and look Cary Grant straight in the eyes. By following these steps, Saint was able to give her character a sense of wonder and appeal. Kendall in Saint's Eve wasn't like most Hitchcock blondes in the movie. She played the part with age and intelligence, which went well with Cary Grant's charm. The way they got along made the movie remarkable. Reviewers praised her performance, stating that she struck a good mix between being sophisticated and open. She was nominated for a BAFTA for Best Foreign Actress because of this. The movie became one of Hitchcock's best because of her unique part. Hitchcock was known for being strict with his actors, and some people didn't like working with him. Some, like Tippi Hedren, had terrible things happen to them. Hedren was shocked when real birds were tied to her clothes instead of the fake birds she was told she would have in a scene from the birds. On set, they were thrown at her for days, and one hit her in the face so close it hurt her eye. She was tired and scared after this. These kinds of stories show how far Hitchcock would go to get the performance he needed. He often did things that were bad for his actress's health. Hitchcock behaved badly outside of work. In her personal life, he also tried to keep his actresses in line. For example, he sent healthy food to Grace Kelly's home because he thought she wasn't getting enough of it. He even tried to stop her from getting married to Prince Rainier of Monaco. But it wasn't the same for every woman. Saint's time with Hitchcock was a lot better. She liked how he helped her and thought that his attention to detail made her do better. Like when she picked out her clothes, she didn't see him involved. Saint talked a lot about how much she liked working with Hitchcock. She said he was friendly, funny, and polite. He thought she was hot as a spy, which was very different from the part she had played before. Saint still said that her time on North by Northwest was one of the best times of her life, even after many years had passed. He gave her clear instructions on things like how to talk and move, which she thought helped her make the right character for the movie. Years of movies have been shaped by the idea of the Hitchcock beauty. This kind of character is portrayed by actresses like Tippi Hedren, Grace Kelly, and Saint. They are cool, stylish, and mysterious. Characters from Hitchcock's Blondes have been used as inspiration by directors like Brian De Palma and David Lynch. Parts played by Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct today show how this character has changed over time. The style of Hitchcock's Blondes is still used as an inspiration by fashion makers. After North by Northwest, 1959, Eva Marie Saint's career went in a different way, letting people know how talented she was. In 1960, she played the lead role in the big movie Exodus, which was about the fight for Israeli freedom. She played the part of Kitty Fremont, a nurse who joins the fight. It was a huge show. In those days, $4.5 million was a lot of money. It took more than 3 hours to make. Saint worked with Paul Newman. She was just as bright as he was, even though he was a big star. In Israel and Cyprus, where it was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the movie was filmed in tough and hot circumstances. She was so dedicated that she played through real explosions in one scene. The movie did well. It made $20 million, which is about $175 million today. It showed that Saint wasn't just Hitchcock's main lady. She could do a lot more. In The Russians Are Coming, which came out in 1965, she showed her funny side. A Soviet submarine got stuck near a small town in New England, which caused chaos in this movie. Saint played Elspeth Whitaker, a calm wife who was trying to keep things in order. It wasn't like the important parts she usually plays. She also showed that she could be funny. The one thing she did on her own was jump out of a second-story window. The movie did really well and was nominated for 4 Oscars. The reviewers thought she was funny and charming, and they loved her act. That part helped her show that she could play different types of people, not just serious ones. Saint chose to focus on TV in the 1970s. This was a smart move because it opened up new chances for her. In 1974, as the first woman president, she played Edith Wilson, President Woodrow Wilson's wife. This was one of her first big TV roles. She took over running the country in secret after he had a stroke. This made her known to younger people and showed how versatile she is as an actor. She played the lead role in the miniseries How the West Was Won in 1977. She was Kate McCann, a pioneer woman who had to deal with a hard life on the plains. Saint did her own stunts, like riding horses and crossing rivers, even though she was 53 years old. She worked so hard that when she fell off a horse in a scene, it hurt. Later, in the 1980s, she played the mother of Sybil Shepherd's character on the famous show Moonlighting. The crew gave her a standing ovation after she gave a 6-minute speech in one take for a scene. She had more than 30 TV roles over the years, which showed she could work in different types of shows and stay current. The Saint's hard work paid off big in 1990. She got an Emmy for her part in the miniseries People Like Us, which was about high society in New York. It was her job to play the rich society, Lil Ultimus, as she aged from a young woman to an old lady. Every day, she put on hours of makeup and even worked with a teacher to get better at her accent. Over 20 million people watched each show of the miniseries, which was a big hit. The reviewers loved her performance and said it was both subtle and strong. Saint joked in her speech that good things happen to people who wait and wait and wait. This was after being nominated for an Emmy 5 times. Just 36 years ago, she won an Oscar for her role in On the Waterfront. This makes her one of the few artists to have won both awards. More people wanted to work with her after she won the Emmy, but Saint was still picky and only took on the best tasks. Saint worked until she was 90 years old. She was in Winter's Tale in 2014 when she was 89 years old. She worked hard to match the style of the younger actor who played a character who was older. It was very cold in New York when the movie was shot, but Saint wouldn't use a stand-in, not even for tough parts. She gave the movie more emotional weight, which fans liked. She tried something new in 2016 when she was 92 years old, doing voice work for the cartoon show Transformers: Heroes in Disguise. After 2 years, right before her 94th birthday, she went to the Oscars to give an award. The standing applause she got from the crowd showed how much respect she had built up over the years. Saint kept busy even as she got close to 100 years old. At the age of 96, she took part in a video event honoring the film's 60th anniversary in 2020. Her fans loved hearing about the funny and vivid times she worked with Alfred Hitchcock and Cary Grant. It was clear from her long career that skill and zeal don't go away with age. Many people were moved by Saint's hard work, her charm, and her ability to keep growing in a field that often values youth over experience. At the same time, Eva Marie Saint met her husband, Jeffrey Hayden, in a way that no one expected. They were both on a New York City train on October 7, 1949. Jeffrey saw that she had a modeling folder with her name written in gold letters on it. He began talking to her because of something about her that caught his eye. Everything changed in that one moment. They got married on October 28, 1951, after falling in love. Jeff was 25 years old and Eva was 27. They were married for an amazing 65 years, until Jeffrey died in 2016. Where they lived, relationships don't last long, so theirs was a rare and beautiful story. During their marriage, they worked together a lot. Jeffrey was in charge of Eva in a number of plays and TV shows, including 1964's The Miracle Worker. They were on a TV show together called Person to Person in 1954, only 3 years after getting married. They laughed as they talked about how very rare it was for a Hollywood couple to be married for so long and be happy together. Eva said that their secret was a mix of luck, friendship, and things they both liked. They went to all 50 states together because they loved traveling. In 2012, they took their last trip to Alaska. They lived a simple, quiet life even though they were famous. They lived in the same Los Angeles house for more than 50 years and didn't go to many parties in Hollywood. Eva used to joke that her book would be called How to Make It in Hollywood and still be a normal person if she ever wrote one. Their love stayed strong even as they got older. They were in a play together called Love Letters in 2001, right before their 50th wedding anniversary. That one moment showed how much they still liked working and being with each other. Eva and Jeffrey also had 2 kids while Eva was famous in Hollywood. Daryl was their first child. He was born in 1955, just 2 days after Eva won an Oscar for her role in On the Waterfront. When Eva received the award, she was 9 months pregnant. During her speech, she joked that she might give birth right there on stage. After a few years, they had a girl named Lorette. Even though she was famous, Eva worked hard to give her kids a normal life. To spend more time with them, she often turned down jobs that would have given her more time at home. There were not many times she and Jeffrey took their kids to Hollywood parties because they wanted them to grow up out of the spotlight. Eva always told her kids to go after their own goals. Lorette worked as a producer before she became a psychotherapist, and she helps people in the creative fields. Eva liked the decisions they made and made sure she was there for all of their big events, like school plays and meetings with the teacher. Few people could do what she did, which was be a mom and an actor at the same time. Eva loved helping other people more than her family, and playing. She and Jeffrey marched for freedom as part of the civil rights movement in the 1960s. Later, she worked closely with the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp, a charity run by her friend Paul Newman that helps kids who are sick. Eva played with the kids and helped the camp raise money. She also created a scholarship at Bowling Green State University to help students in theater and movies. Some things Eva said were even about the world. She read aloud a video called Arctic Tale when she was 81 years old. It was about how climate change was affecting animals in the Arctic. Eva was one of the last stars from Hollywood's golden age because she worked for so long. As someone who was born on July 4th, 1924, she has seen a lot of movies. People still honor her work and leave behind a memory at the age of 100. There was a standing ovation for her at the 2023 Academy Awards that ran more than 3 minutes. Eva won a lot of awards over the years. She won an award from the Kennedy Center in 2012 for her work in the arts. In 2018, her Her school named its theater after her, and she gave their archives her scripts and pictures. She was the oldest person to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Screen Actors Guild in 2020. I've been in this game for so long. I remember when the casting couch was just a love seat. Eva kept her sense of humor during her acceptance speech.